At Transova Genetics, we multiply the success of our customers. As an early adopter of reproductive technologies, Transova Genetics serves as a longtime leader in advancing superior genetics that move the livestock industry forward. Our team is comprised of nearly 400 professionals who offer a vast toolbox of services, including embryo transfer, in vitro fertilization, sexed semen, cloning, and more. Our regional centers, satellite locations, and partnering practitioners across the U.S. keep our commitment to producers at the forefront as Transova Genetics grows innovative reproductive services built on its 40-plus years of integrity and customer satisfaction. Transova Genetics was formed in 1980 with the foresight of Dr. David Faber. What started as a dream from an Iowa farmhouse quickly grew into today's headquarters facilities in Sioux Center.
As soon as I saw an embryo that very first time, I was hooked. Still fascinates me to this day. When you enjoy it that much, it's not work. I had no resources, we had no capital, we had no equipment, but what we really had was a lot of passion and our time, and so we invested that pretty heavily into getting things started.
Today, the headquarters site includes the main farm with donor, recipient, and calf housing and embryo labs, an embryo collection facility, and the Genetic Advancement Center, which houses in vitro fertilization, sexed semen, cloning, R&D, and more.
I think we've got far greater opportunities in front of us. In an era that we really need to improve genetics, is we've got to produce more animal protein, and yet we've got to do it in a very efficient, sustainable way. There's a lot of pressures on agriculture to be able to do that, and we think our toolbox can really contribute to that.
Transova Genetics takes great care to practice good animal husbandry for donors, recips, and calves, and to conduct best practices at all points, from collection to delivery of valuable embryos. To facilitate the embryo transfer process, Transova's herdsmen care for valuable donors on site. At the collection facility, a series of activities ensures proper collection and transfer of embryos using traditional embryo transfer services or in vitro fertilization techniques.
There's plenty of differences between IVF and conventional flushing in certain situations where you'd want to use one versus the other. IVF, those procedures can be done every 2 weeks or so using an ultrasound to evaluate the ovaries and use a long needle to aspirate the ovaries and collect unfertilized eggs or oocytes, which will then go to our professional service embryologists. They'll find them, package them up, and so they're ready to go to the IVF lab, where they'll be fertilized, incubate, and then can either be frozen or transferred fresh. Also do conventional flushing, which is the more traditional route where those donors are superovulated and ovulate more than one egg at a time, which are then fertilized after artificial insemination. We'll then non-surgically flush the uterus to recover those embryos. And that process takes longer to do and a little bit longer recovery. You can only do that about every 55 to 60 days. Those donors have to be open, cannot be pregnant to do that procedure.
The flush barn at Transova Genetics is also home to shipping, receiving, and export services, as well as long-term storage for frozen embryos. A concrete vault safely houses thousands of frozen embryos in liquid nitrogen at minus 193 degrees Celsius. Under these cryopreserved conditions, frozen embryos or semen remain viable some 50 years later. Company-wide, hundreds of thousands of embryos are safely frozen and stored. At Transova Genetics, good animal husbandry is practiced daily. We take pride in caring for donors, recips, and calves. The donor working facility and barns at the Iowa headquarters support up to 215 donor females, and facilities are outfitted with working chutes, foot trimming chutes, and a yard and paddock.
The housing here for the donor department at Transova is really next level. Every pen has a fan in it, so when the weather gets hot and the cattle don't want to be on grass, they are on wood chips and with fans and a curtain in the back to really help control the environment. We just really strive for cow comfort and low stress handling. We take great pride in managing these cows, keep them in appropriate conditions, given on their needs.
Additionally, recipient working facilities and housing feature tubs and hydraulic chutes, mounds, windbreaks, and shade for comfort.
The recips here at Trans-Ova features cattle that are primarily sourced out of the northern states, and they're all 2 to 7 year olds. They're tested for all the major cattle diseases coming in, and also quality sorted as far as disposition, feet and leg structure, udders, things of that nature. Our purchase pregnancy program features our top-end recips that clients can use to purchase and put in either frozen or fresh embryos. You would transfer an embryo, and then those recips would go through a preg check at 60 days where they're fetal sexed, and at that point, if they're pregnant, then that ownership transitions over to the client.
A live calf facility is designed to house young dairy calves from birth to weaning and beyond. Most calves in this facility are extremely valuable, high genomic dairy calves. Some will have a genomic total performance index, GTPI, of over 3,000. Calves here are fed twice a day and started on colostrum, as well as introduced to creep feed. After weaning, calves can stay for the Trans-Ova IVF program or return to owners. Trans-Ova Genetics tailors its toolbox of services to individual client needs, regardless of species or breed. The Genetic Advancement Center at Trans-Ova Genetics houses the IVF, sexed semen, cloning, and media labs, along with its research and development facilities. In vitro fertilization is similar to embryo transfer, but involves the harvest of unfertilized oocytes, or eggs, from the ovary of a donor heifer or cow.
IVF, there's certainly a lot of advantages there, especially for producers that are looking to produce a higher volume of embryos. Those donors can stay on their normal production cycle with the rest of the herd. And we can also do those on virgin heifers. Another big advantage is less semen use. So typically with conventional flushing, you're going to need at least 2, if not maybe 3 straws of semen, where with IVF, 1 straw could cover multiple donors. Another big advantage is we have a little bit more flexibility with the IVF program. What I think is so great about Trans-Ova is that we can really tailor our program to what that client's goals are or what specifically that donor needs to really maximize her production.
Sexed semen is also assessed and identified at the Genetic Advancement Center.
So our sex semen lab is being able to take a conventional frozen unit of semen, thaw it, and run it through our sexing machines to produce either the female or the male sperm cell, whatever the desired sex is for that client. When you look at X and Y chromosomes, the X chromosome has 4% more DNA to it. So when they're processing the sample, when they thaw it, they're adding a dye to it that is then going to have the X chromosome or the female sperm cells fluoresce brighter because it's soaking up more dye, it has 4% more to it.
Trans-Ova Genetics Advanced Technologies also performs cloning services for cattle, pigs, sheep, and goats, and preservation services for all these species, including rare, endangered, or critical mammals.
Cloning offers a great opportunity to increase efficiency because you're taking the elite animals and preserving or creating more of those elite animals. So if you've got a high producer, cloning offers you the opportunity to take that high producer and make more of them. It also has the ability to extend the impact of your high producers across the industry, whether that be through embryo production or semen production.
In a typical year, Trans-Ova Genetics performs thousands of embryo transfers, ovum pickups, and semen sorts, and produces thousands of cloned embryos, all to advance reproductive technologies and multiply the success of our clients.
So I think it's about people. It's about the fact that our toolbox can truly help multiply success, and that we probably are unique in the world in terms of the full toolbox that we have and the experiences and facilities and things that we can bring to really help our clients succeed and multiply success.
To find our services near you, or to learn more about our reproductive advancements and international opportunities, visit us on social media or at transova.com.